Good morning and welcome to D for Diving's YouTube channel, and today we're going to have another look at the Garmin Descent Mk2. Now, why are we looking again at the Garmin Descent Mk2, particularly when I reviewed it last year when it first came out? And that's largely because the difference between now and then is I have one. Check me. Oh, somebody sent me a message. So last year when I reviewed the Mk2, I was very complimentary about it. And people who are regular viewers of our channel will know that we're rather impressed with the Garmin MK series of dive computers, where in my original review of the Garmin MK1 back in 2020, I said that I thought that it was probably the best wristwatch style dive computer on the market. Now, there are some Shearwater Teric fans who will say that that's not possible. The Teric is a much better computer, and I'm not going to argue that the Teric is not a good computer, not a very, very good computer. It's just that if I'm looking for a wristwatch style computer, I want it to do more than just be a dive computer. And so the Garmin Descent as a full smartwatch with full smart capabilities really does, for me, fit the bill and hits the nail on the head perfectly. So that takes us on to the Mk2. As we know, Garmin launched two versions of the Mk2, the Mk2 and the Mk2i. The i gives you the ability to add an air integration pod to your regulators, and so that you can see on your wristwatch the pressure in your tank. Now, of course, I've made my views quite clear on air integration dive computers using pods. I just don't see that it's worth it. For me, it's an excellent solution looking for a problem. And I can't help but thinking that for $550 US, I'd rather do this as opposed to this. Honestly, it's not that much of a hardship to check my gauges versus looking at my $550. I can go on a dive trip or buy some other gear. Anyway, that's my views. We'll leave that where it was. The other things that and the main reasons why we like the Garmin Descent Mk2 is that it takes all the features that the Mk1 had and just adds a little bit more. Now, I had said when I did my original review last year of the Mk2 that I couldn't justify the upgrade cost because it was quite a significant upgrade cost from the Mk1 to the Mk2, and I couldn't justify it because the feature set, whilst was better, it wasn't better enough. And then I changed my mind, and isn't it pretty though? Look, it's pretty. And so why did I change my mind? What is it that forced me? What is it that promoted me to do it? Well, primarily it was because I wanted to do a review of the Mk2 versus the Mk1 versus the Mk2S, and Nora has the Mk2S, and we can put a link to that video below. And also the Shearwater Teric, as a chum of ours at the dive shop was here for a while and had the Shearwater Teric, and I wanted to be able to do a good review of that. Now, we can't do it because Matt left before we could actually film that one, but also we would notice the main thing is that a lot of our review would be, and here's the Garmin 1, the 2, the 2S, and we can't show you the Teric because it's on charge again, and the battery life on that was terrible. But that's not to say that the dive computer is terrible, it's just you've got to charge it every other day. So what is it that I like about the Mk2, and why is it that ultimately I made that decision to buy the new one? Well, principally it's because Jimmy, the young dive master that works with us, really wanted my Mk1, so I gave that to him, and so that meant I needed a new dive computer. And so what am I going to choose? I'm going to choose the best one on the market as far as I'm concerned, and that's where I went for the Mk2. So what is it I like about the Mk2? Now that I've been using it for 6 months, what is it I like about the Mk2? Well, it's got the same Bullman ZHL16C algorithm as the Mk1. It's got the same algorithm as the Shearwater Teric and a whole bunch of other dive computers out there. So it gives me user changeable gradient factor, and I can make it fit how I want to dive with the risk profiles I want to take. It also has all of the dive modes I could possibly want, including CCR, technical, recreational, gauge, apnea, all the different modes that you could possibly want. It is a fully featured dive computer. The other bits I like about it though is that it's got a bigger display. It's quite significantly bigger than the Mark 1. It's quite significantly bigger than the Teric, and what that means is that I can actually have more information on the display, and with my slightly older eyes I can still see it. And so the key thing there is that we're able to have that lots of information, particularly when I'm diving, and it's all available to me, and it's still available with the double tap on the screen as I scroll through the various different screens, and it's all very familiar and all very useful. With that more data that's available to me, so not only does it have a pulse heart rate monitor, it has a blood oxidation monitor, it has a whole bunch of other sensors and features. And so as I'm diving, or even as I'm not diving, but as I'm diving, I'm able to see more information on my dive computer, to the extent that I'm even able to set up user customizable data screens. Now I have that, so information that I really want is what is the actual time, not just the time of the dive. What is the temperature, what is this, what is that? I'm able to set up on the screen exactly the information that I want to see whilst I'm diving. The Mark II also comes with a much bigger battery. Suck that, Teric users. Which will last about 2 weeks. And I'm talking properly 2 weeks. I use this every day as my daily dive computer, and it's about 2 weeks between charges, which I absolutely love. The computer comes with a lot more inbuilt storage as well. So I know Nora does this, I personally don't, but Nora does this. She actually installs music onto her Mark IIs, connects her wireless earbuds directly to the dive computer, and then when she's exercising she uses her dive computer to play music, so she doesn't need to carry her phone while she's doing that, which again to me is wonderful. You know, the phones are quite bulky. If you're out for a run or if you're out for a cycle, it's an extra device you've got to carry, whereas actually your dive computer can take care of all of that. It has the Bluetooth connectivity and connects to the Garmin Dive app, the Garmin Connect sports app, but also to your mobile phone for messages, emails, all of that sort of stuff comes through, and it gives you a nice little vibrate as they're coming in as well. And I know that there are other smartwatches that can do that, but other features that are specific to the Garmin: GPS connectivity with maps. Crikey, I can even download golf courses to it. Not that there are any golf courses on Carriacou, but I could, if there were. I could download a golf course and see how far I am to the next green from where I currently am standing, and which club there I want to select. But I use it for cycling, we use it for swimming, for kayaking. But the other part of it, which is really useful, and this was on the Mark 1 and is on the Mark II, it's just a little bit more precise on the Mark II, and that is that when I'm diving, it will map my entry and exit points on a dive, and that's really useful, particularly when we find points of interest or we've lost a wreck. Happens from time to time. Recently I was on a dive trip to Florida, and we were drift diving Palm Beach, and using the entry and exit points I could see how far we were drifting, and therefore know roughly where we were picking up the points, and get a gauge as to the speed of the current that we were diving in. Other features that it has, and this is part of the smartwatch facility, is it tracks my general health. It's looking at when I'm stressed. It can pick that up from my blood oxidation, it can pick that up from my heart rate, it can pick that up from my breathing rate, and it also tracks my sleep. And so it gives me an understanding of how stressed I am and how much it's noticing my stress, and I can track that over time, but also how well I'm sleeping. Now for a lot of people that won't matter. 3 rum and cokes and you sleep very well. But I am not that kind of person, and sleeping has always been a problem for me. And so being able to track it and being able to look at different activities to help me calm down and to help me de-stress in an evening so I get a better night's sleep and therefore more productive in the morning, all of those are useful bits of health-based information. It's stylish, it's an attractive watch, I think. We can change the displays from a digital data-driven watch display to an analog and classic display, which I really kind of like. But also we're able to remove the straps very, very easily and attach them. And again, I can therefore make the watch look very different. So I have these delightful orange and black straps. Not because I like orange or anything like that, but I have these delightful little straps that mean that I can customize the watch and make it look exactly how I want it to do. Now, there are some limitations to the dive computer. It is depth rated only to 10 atmospheres or 91 meters of salt water. So if you are a technical diver, and let's be honest, it does have a CCR mode as a backup or fixed set point, you know, being limited to 91 meters may not be good enough, and that's where something like the Teric, you know, that's 20 atmospheres. Gives you a lot more divability. So on a recent dive trip to Florida, we were diving down to 60 plus meters and the dive computer had absolutely no problems. However, one of the things that we did notice is that on that dive trip, CCR, full shear water electronics on the CCR, there was a slight difference in the deco profiles between the Garmin and the shear water, even though we were diving on fixed set points. And so if you are involved in tech diving, then perhaps having shear water and shear water would be a benefit, but it wasn't so far out that it caused me an issue. And at the end of the day, I was using my Garmin as a backup as opposed to a primary. So had my primary gone down, I could have bailed out and used my Garmin to get me to the surface, and it would have been safe. I would have had a different profile, yes, but it would have been safe. Bottom line is, I'm super impressed with the Garmin Descent MK2. I think it's an excellent dive computer. And for my usage, where I'm looking for an everyday watch and dive computer, it's still the best dive computer on the market. It gives me all of the smartwatch capabilities that I want, that I need, as well as a top-of-the-line dive computer. There are some people who would say, I want a dive computer to be my dive computer, and I want an Apple smartwatch, I don't know, Apple Watch to be their daily watch, and that's great. If you have the ability to have that as a choice, that's brilliant. I don't want that because I know I'm going to go diving with the wrong watch and then have an Apple paperweight because I'll flood it, kill it. But that brings me on to the next thing. Who's seen the iWatch Extreme? I'm really quite intrigued by this as a product, not because I necessarily think that Apple are going to make the best dive computer. I don't. But I'm intrigued by the marketing powers of Apple promoting the fact that the Extreme can also be used as a dive computer, which may make people who hadn't considered diving consider diving, because I now have a dive computer and maybe I should try this diving lark. And in which case, if we manage to convert some of those people that buy an Apple iWatch Extreme and have a dive computer to try diving, we have a bigger pool of people that we can convince to come diving, then I think that's a good thing all round. And if it helps us promote diving more, then even better. But Apple iWatch Extreme, I'm not an Apple fan, but I'm not going to rush to buy one. I want to see a lot more reviews and see them in the wild for quite a lot longer. So there we go, my review of the Garmin Descent MK2. I am a fan. I'm going to continue to be a fan. And I still believe that the Garmin Descent is, in my opinion, the best wristwatch style dive computer available on the market. Yes, it's expensive, but I'm worth it. No, sorry. It's still a very good product, and I'm very happy with it. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and smash down on the subscribe button as well. I'd appreciate any feedback, comments. Tell me what you think about your shearwater. Tell me what you think about your Garmin, or if there are any other products out there that you would like to talk to us about that you also think are very worthy dive computers and worthy of a mention. Thank you very much again, and stay diving.